CG Live. Pastor Michael here, and in a minute, I'll be sitting down with a conversation with Maddie to talk about our Serve Team rally and hospitality, and so you'll want to stay for that. But before we get here, here's your weekly connections. First, do you have a passion for helping kids grow in faith? Because we are hiring a CG Kids coach for a 10-hour position to mentor children, lead teams, and empower families to grow in their knowledge of God's Word. And so be a part of transforming the lives by helping kids discover their identity in Christ. And this is for our East Mesa campus. And so apply today by checking the link in the description and join our mission of multiplying disciples and spreading God's love. Next, our leadership rally is happening on Sunday, September 22nd from 12 to 3 p.m. If you're currently serving or thinking about serving at Christ Greenfield, this event is for you. And we're going to dive into the power of hospitality and how we can all make a meaningful impact in our community. So whether you've been serving for years or you're just getting started, this event is designed to inspire and to help you grow as a leader. So don't miss out. Next Sunday at noon, sign up today by clicking the link in the description and join us for this uplifting time. Also, I can't believe this is really happening. Harvest Fest, so fall is in the air. It's coming up. So at Christ Greenfield, our annual Harvest Fest is coming up on Friday, October 18th. And we're looking for volunteers to help create an amazing, family-friendly event-filled time with games, activities, and fun. This is one of our most significant outreach opportunities, and it's a chance to make a meaningful impact in the Gilbert community. So whether you enjoy setting up, hosting booths, or cleaning up, there is a spot for you. If you're interested in serving at Harvest Fest, just click the link in the description. Well, with that, stay tuned for our CG Live conversation. Hello, friends. Welcome to CG Live here with Miss Maddie, and we get to talk about hospitality. And before we hopped on, I was talking about, we're trying to think of examples of like terrible hospitality, good hospitality, and the show came to mind as maybe not the most appropriate.
It's entertainment.
It's super entertaining. But the show Bar Rescue.
Right. You see like the highs and lows in that show.
You see the extremes of like, it starts with like awful hospitality.
Yes. Yeah.
Like 45 minutes to get your food. It's usually like filthy and like the workers are mean to each other and the customers.
Yeah. It's not great.
But then somebody comes in, kind of yells at everybody.
Essentially. Yeah.
And whips them into shape. And then by the end, it's like this beautiful image of hospitality. The other thing that came to mind is, hospitality changes like when you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
In two ways. One is like when you go to somebody's house and it's like super clean.
Oh. Impressive.
Yeah, you're like, it's so clean, and you're like, kids, don't touch anything.
You're like, it's too clean.
It's too clean.
Yeah.
Like, it's so clean that like, they're trying to be gracious hosts,
right? But
you're like so stressed out.
Yeah. I think there's a fine balance, right? Like, what does hospitality look like so people feel welcomed?
Right.
And that, but it's also your true authentic self, right?
Correct. Yeah. Because if you walked in our house, it would not be pristine or clean.
But very welcoming.
Very welcoming, yeah.
And your true authentic self.
True authentic self. Life with 3 kids does that. And so honestly, like when we go over to people's houses and it's like not all quite put together, it's actually like more warm and welcoming. Like their house is lived in. And so I know like my kids aren't going to destroy
Right. And I think that's an interesting thought though too, because what does hospitality mean, right? Like the opening of your home, right? Or the door of church, right? We hear about hospitality in church, but if you're very hospitable, I feel like your family is very hospitable. Everyone's welcome anytime.
Right.
My house is going to be what my house is, right? It is.
Yeah.
It is, but the welcoming piece, right?
Right.
Opening the door to whoever needs a hot meal, or a safe place to talk to.
Correct. Yeah, hospitality is less about necessarily the space, whether that's like super duper clean or super. I mean, you don't really want maybe either extremes,
Right.
But it's more about like the heart or the attitude of the person or the welcoming group. Which I think sometimes we get the cart in front of the horse and we think like hospitality is, oh, my house has to be perfect.
Right.
And you begin to stress out, and then nobody feels comfortable.
Right. Exactly.
You're
exhausted from the prep work. That by the time someone gets there, you're like, I'm gonna take a nap.
Oh yeah, I gotta take a break.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hosting already.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a double-edged sword, because then all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't be hospitable because I can't handle the stress. And then the people coming over are like, oh my gosh, the house is so clean, and I feel like I can't touch anything.
Yeah.
It's
a cycle.
It's a cycle. And so a better middle way is like, my sister Kim calls it, I think this is an actual term, messy or scruffy hospitality.
Oh, okay.
So, things aren't maybe necessarily like an absolute train wreck, which my house sometimes, 3 kids.
3 kids, yeah.
3 kids. But it's like, it's comfortable.
Right, yeah, totally.
You can relax. If you come over and you spill your water, welcome to the club.
Right.
With my kids, it'll be just fine. What are some other things that maybe come to your mind, especially in the context of church, when it comes to like hospitality?
Yeah. What I think I like about this messy hospitality, and I think it can apply to like your home, right? But also in a church setting or like how you engage with people, because you do want to engage with people authentically.
Yeah.
And never am I ever in such a great mood that I feel like the most chipper, the most excited to, it is messy. Life is messy. So I think that like in a church setting, even just coming authentically, like, hey, how you doing? Oh, like, can I pray for you right now? Just being hospitable is part of just like welcoming people in. How would you want to be welcomed in, right? I love saying hi to people. I love waving at people. And that's just like a simple tool that like everyone loves to be recognized, even if it's not a super long, let's go really in depth about your life right now, right?
Right, yeah. The Disney Institute found that I think it's like from like 100 yards or 100 feet away, people can tell if you're smiling, and that can change their attitude from like, so for us it'd be like from the parking lot to the front door.
Right.
And that little simple touch of hospitality, right? It's a posture of the heart and, well, your face, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what a difference that can make, because I don't know if what it's like for you, but getting out the door into church can sometimes be a little stressful.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not always the happiest trip, and then trying to find a parking spot. So it could be a lot of things. And for guests, especially if they don't know like where they're going, it'd be more stressful. But then you like are there, and all you have to do, and all you're doing is smiling.
Exactly.
It can change their whole attitude as they approach. And too, I had this member at the church I came from in Michigan, Shirley Leidecker, and she always mentioned how she liked when the lobby was a little messy. And what she meant by that was like, it just meant there's a lot of stuff going on at church. Like if you had boxes for this donation, or you had this other, pamphlets out for this thing or that thing, right? It may not look like the cleanest or nicest, but it's clear like, hey, this church is real and they're doing stuff.
Yeah,
and,
if I spill my water in the sanctuary, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's probably my kids.
Yeah.
That kicked over your water.
Right. I think it goes back to that, like, how do we engage with people where they're at, right? When you're coming in on Sunday morning, what were the obstacles that even to get there on Sunday morning, and how can we come and meet people there? So I think that's a great point. Yeah.
And then I guess from your perspective, Maddie, like, why does hospitality even matter? Like, why even have this conversation?
Yeah, I think hospitality is just so important because it's such a foundation to how Jesus interacted with people, right? He was so hospitable in the ways, just his conversations. He didn't have necessarily like a church building, right? To come welcome people into, but the conversations he had with people and the way he interacted with people was in such a way that people wanted to be near him and people wanted to interact with him, and he just showed such love and care. So I think number one, Jesus showed us what hospitality looks like in just the interactions he had with people. And I think that's the foundation for hospitality. How do you interact with people? Then that makes the space hospitable.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, we get the cart in front of the horse, we think the space is what matters, but actually it's like the person and the posture of the heart. And then that actually creates the environment and space. That's hospitable. And Jesus, I mean, he's always the best example, but also what's interesting is he actually didn't have a home.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yet he was the most hospitable. Because it's not about necessarily a space, but a person.
Yeah.
And who you're like relating to and interacting with. And two, what came to my mind is one of like the deepest needs of every human being is to feel like they belong. And my first example, like whenever I've been at a house that's like pristine.
Yeah.
Like one time, Joy and I went to go to eat at a house with our kids, and they were the nicest people. It was so nice, but she had all white furniture.
Oh.
I was like, oh my gosh.
I mean, I grew up, my grandma had her couch was white, and it was called we called it like things like the white room. We were not allowed to bring food, drinks, if we had just eaten anything, wash your hands.
You're out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like you didn't really feel like I was like, we don't belong in this space. I mean, they were great. So like that, overcame that hurdle, but but the sense of like how important belonging is. And so even though they invited us in, there still was like that like a barrier, like I don't want to screw this up. And so when you welcome people in, meet them like where they are, there is this like sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That gets us over so many hurdles for people. And so that's like one of the reasons why hospitality as a church, as a group, like matters like so much.
Totally.
So much. Anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
Well, Maddie, why don't you tell them about the Serve Team Rally
Yeah.
coming up, which is like the catalyst for this conversation.
Yeah, this Sunday, September 22nd, we're having our Serve Team Rally. So anyone who serves, or maybe you're like, I don't know what this serving is about, but I'm really interested in serving, you're all welcome. It's right after the 10:45 service at noon at our Gilbert campus, and we're going to be diving into what does outrageous hospitality look like? Why do we do hospitality, and what is God calling us to here in our lives, in our specific ministries in which we serve, and then as a church, how do we be hospitable to those around us? So it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome, and hopefully, like on your way in, you're going to experience amazing hospitality.
Totally.
Get fired up, and then bring hospitality, like Maddie said, just for your own personal, like home or wherever God has placed you, but also as a church and in their individual areas of service and ministry. How can we be more hospitable and really help people feel like they belong?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome day.
So sign up for that. Join us Sunday at noon at the Gilbert campus. You're going to be there. Also, free lunch.
Free lunch. You can't say no to that, right?
I never turn down free food.
Hospitality, if they have free food, it ups it by like 45 million %.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So be there. Free food, great experience, and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, y'all.
Ellie, I was holding this